Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of The Push with Nick and KP. I'm KP and here today we're going to be running through an NXT recap. This is the June 30th edition of the show, and this is the actual following show of the NXT Great American Bash, which took place this past weekend. So as things are normally on the channel, we're going to go through the course of the night as it goes along, from start to finish, break down the whole evening, to see how it goes. So first and foremost, we're going to begin things here with our opening segment of the night, and that would be with the crowning moment here of Kendall Gray. She would open up the show, our brand new NXT Women's Champion, and she would basically come down to the ring cutting a promo to kick things off. She would say how she was nervous to come out, basically saying how since John Cena showed faith in her, a while back now, going into the Iron Survivor Challenge last year, she's felt the pressure to live up to expectations. She talks about her amateur wrestling background and her time in Evolve, saying how dominant she was during those situations, before looking back on her previous NXT Women's Championship opportunities, saying that she did come up short in, before proving then at the Great American Bash that she's more than up for being the face of the division. She says that she might not look like the other women in the locker room presentation-wise, not really donning, as much makeup or, worrying about the designer clothes or whatever, but when the bell rings, she says that she wrestles like a champion, setting the pace so high and the standards up so high that no one else can keep up with her. A couple of moments later, we do then see Ren Sinclair coming on down. She arrives with a cake. They are buddies here, to be fair. Obviously, Ren Sinclair bringing the celebrations to Kendall Gray, and passing over the cake immediately, before then reminding her that the prediction that Kendall cast last week did come true, that they both would walk away from the Great American Bash with their respective championships. A matter of moments later, we do then see kelanijordan head on down, basically just interrupting, asking for her deserved title match. She then gets attacked by Tatum Paxley, though, which obviously was an interaction at the Great American Bash between the two of those. And whilst that sort of takes place, then we do then just see Kendall and Ren Sinclair just basically chowing down on the cake and essentially just eating it like that infamous Biggie popcorn meme from all those years ago. So, yep, obviously the women's division here still quite particularly stacked, and I guess kelanijordan just seemingly wanting to be around that NXT Championship opportunity still. Going into our first match of the evening, though, this would be a tag team contest. It would be for the NXT Tag Team Championships. This would see Vanity Project taking on the team of Galeno and Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr. from AAA. Not a bad matchup, this one, to be fair, for the most part. Goes along quite smoothly. Pretty fun contest, but there is a part at the end where actually I sort of found the image online as well. That image up there on the top right, that move where Ricky Smokes just lands on top of El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr. That was a bit of an issue, because when he landed on him, there seemingly was some sort of worry about an injury at the time. And you could sort of hear Vic Joseph and Booker T on commentary, almost sort of alluding to it, basically being worried for Wagner. The match doesn't last too long afterwards either. He does to actually take the pin, Wagner, taking a couple of bumps afterwards, maybe little ones here and there, followed by a big one. But yeah, I'm not sure if he actually was injured in this one, but they did show a lot of concern for it, and the match did slow down immediately, and then obviously went to its finish immediately afterwards. That normally in that case does mean that an injury did happen. So I don't know whether they did have to cut this one a little bit short, just sort of trying to rush that finish there. But yeah, it was actually a win here for Vanity Project. They retain their titles, and that comes in way of Galeno getting shoved into the ring post. Wagner gets dropped by a double team maneuver, which is an assisted diving double foot stomp, and that'll be the win here for Vanity Project. So, yep, still your tag team champions, but Vanity Project's night isn't over just yet, because they quickly spiral into our next match of the evening, which is Jackson Drake getting involved in the action. He goes one-on-one with Mason Rook, obviously after the interactions from last week between the two of them. And this one sort of spirals into what is a pretty decent match, actually. Probably my favorite match of the evening. Really good back and forth contest, and has a really, really big near fall at the very end of the contest, too. Mason Rook is in absolute control. He's doing very, very well here. Has Jackson Drake basically where he wants him. Hits this beautiful sit-out powerbomb, which seemingly is going to end the contest. Jackson Drake kicks out. The crowd start chanting, "This is awesome," and people are really enjoying it. He lifts Drake back up to his feet before then Vanity Project proved to be a distraction. Rook sends Ricky Smokes to ringside, throwing him actually onto Brad Baylor. And then Drake hits a backstabber whilst Mason Rook's distracted by the two. Going in for a cover, Mike Lockwood comes over and sort of holds the foot down of Mason Rook, and that'll be a win here for Jackson Drake against Mason. So yeah, very, very, very big win here. for the Vanity Project all around, win the tag team championship matchup, retaining their tag team gold, and then Jackson Drake go one-on-one Mason Rook. Still fresh on the scene, Rook, but yeah, unfortunately hasn't really for himself picked up much momentum since arriving, taken a couple of losses, and this one especially now to Jackson Drake. Our next match of the evening would be EK Prosper and Keanu Carver. So this one was meant to be EK Prosper versus El Hijo del Vikingo for the Latin America Championship, but unfortunately, Keanu Carver would take out Vikingo at the start of the night, and basically saying that, he's not going to get his championship match, EK Prosper, if I can help it. So Robert Stone, out of pure frustration, keeps, the action rolling and does issue a rematch from last week, so Prosper goes one-on-one with Carver. Prosper would win that one last week, but could he win this one this week? The answer, simply and put, is yes, he can. This goes pretty much the way you'd expect. Keanu starts off quite dominantly. He's in control. EK fights back a little bit here and there, and then the action spills to ringside. And we saw last week when Carver lost, he actually threw Prosper through the announce table at ringside, one of the two tables that broke last week. Well, 2 times it broke last week in that particular night. And once that sort of happens, we do then see him bouncing off the table, not going through it, before then being rolled back into the ring. Carver, sort of like preparing to go back in himself, then gets absolutely ambushed by Tank from Hank and Tank, after what happened at the Great American Bash with the interaction between the three of them, I guess you could say. Hank being sent over into a table in the NXT watch party. So yeah, with that whole situation, Tank here getting some revenge for his tag team partner, launching Carver through the LED barricade on the outside of the ring, and that would then see Carver beat the count eventually, getting back into the ring, although he wouldn't be able to pick up the victory because EK Prosper was ready to go. He hits him with a big sort of like single leg drop kick, lays him out, and then hits a moonsault from the top rope to get the 1-2-3 and to get back to back against Keanu Carver. So I think we can ultimately rule this one out as probably the end of Carver and EK Prosper, because I have a feeling Carver now has his attention probably fully and foremost on Hank and Tank, and specifically Tank after this particular match. So going from our first half to our second half of NXT, we've got women's division action right here, right now, and that'll be Jada Parker going one-on-one with Carmen Petrovic. This one was an interesting matchup because you've got the 2 in the ring, but you've also got the 3 on the outside. That'll be Natty, that'll be Nikita Lyons, that'll also be Layla Diggs. We've seen Layla be a little bit sort of not quite on the same wavelength as Natty and Nikita Lyons and Carmen Petrovic in recent weeks, and that sort of like played dividends here in this match as well. They get to a stage after a pretty nice back and forth between both ladies in the ring. We then see Jada get sent to ringside, and she gets mauled by Nikita Lyons, basically just holding her back, and Natty just essentially use the distraction from Carmen in the ring, distracting the referee, to basically just lay out a load of punches on Jada Parker, weakening her down a little bit. Natty offers her up to Layla Diggs, who actually doesn't do anything. She sort of like hesitates, refuses to do anything particularly against Jada Parker, and that causes a little bit of confusion. Jada gets sent back into the ring, and attention tries to get put back on the contest. Jada Parker turns things around absolutely immediately, doesn't waste any time doing so. She hits a gourd buster, then a hypnotic, and then follows up with a sit-out spine buster, and that'll be the win for Jada Parker in this match. So yeah, Layla Diggs basically proven to be the deciding factor here. Whether she meant it or not, a little bit of confusion, but Jada Parker does reap the rewards of that little bit of hesitation from Layla Diggs. Coming up next, we would have Tony D'Angelo head to the ring, our NXT champion, and he would cut a promo talking about his time in an ambulance last week after his brutal assault from Naraku with that fireball from the contract. He said that he basically spent the time in the ambulance sort of like thinking to himself about signing waivers to compete at the Great American Bash. He questioned whether he wanted to risk his health to actually defend that title against Naraku, before then basically coming to the realization that there's only one mentality for him, and that was hell yeah, he would. Tony says after his win at the Bash that he's done with Naraku, before then warning his next opponent that he's showed what he's willing to do to keep the title, and asking what that opponent then will do to take the title from him. Kendall Gray then arrives, and she is preparing to be at ringside for the main event of the show. And as she goes past Tony D'Angelo, they have a little bit of mutual respect towards each other. Tony heads to the back, but then is immediately brought back into the conversation, and he is assaulted by Naraku. We see a chair in Naraku's hand, which he uses against the back of Tony D. The action spills into the ring, and then we do see Tony get laid out by Naraku that STO finishing move that he does possess, and onto the chair to basically just, end the assault here from Naraku. We do then see Kendall Gray and officials attending to Tony D, and a camera in the back then quickly reveals that Naraku initially started the offense here and the attack with actually a bit of a poison mist assault just behind the scenes. So yeah, we do see, Naraku going to a bit more of an evil side of things now, hitting the poison mist, and obviously that brutal assault afterwards to lay out the champion. So I don't think Tony D really is done with Naraku just yet. Going into our main event, we would have a one-on-one matchup. This was stemmed from earlier on in the night as Kelanijordan goes one-on-one with Tatum Paxley. Yeah, not a bad match to be fair, this one. Pretty good, pretty evenly contested, back and forth, as you would expect from what is a pretty stacked women's division. And it gets even more stacked by the end of this contest. I'll talk about that in just a couple of moments. We do see a bit of a matchup towards the end. It's a little bit sloppy. I think Kelanijordan looks to hit the same move twice, but she's only meant to do it once, I'm assuming. It's sort of like a twisted angle slam style maneuver, and she goes to sort of like land it the first time. Tatum almost lands on her face during it. It's really not executed very well at all. And then we do see Kalani picking Tatum back up and actually hitting the move properly the second time, which is great to see. Just brush it off, get back into the motions, and go through with what you're meant to be doing. She lands the second time of asking, and goes for her one-of-a-kind moonsault, and that'll be the win here for Kelanijordan in the main event. So seemingly, just putting her on a path to Kendall Gray. We'll have to see if that happens going forward. But what we can see immediately after this matchup is that Tatum Paxley, she just lost the matchup, but that wasn't the end of sort of like the bad news for her, because as she's sort of in the ring with Kelanijordan watching on from the outside, she's sort of like heading towards the back. We then see Tatum get absolutely blindsided by somebody brand new to NXT. They sort of like lock Tatum Paxley in a torture rack style position, and they go to sort of like initiate the sort of like point of contact, jumping, sort of like really wrench the back of Tatum a bit more so. And as they do, they almost blunder it a little bit. They have to like remain balanced. They do really well, to be fair, to stay on their feet and to not drop Tatum Paxley. But then once they start to get composed once again, then we see the torture rack really, really get nestled in, and Tatum gets dropped to end the show. And we believe this person is called Nikki Blackheart. That's what she used to go by in previous companies. So whether she will be Nikki or not going forward, we'll have to wait and see. But what we do know about this woman is that she is very, very imposing. And yeah, what an assault on Tatum Paxley. What a way to make your statement on NXT in your official debut. But this has been the NXT review here for this episode of the show. What do you guys think? Thought it was a pretty decent episode all around. Obviously, we do have a bit of a brand new start here for the, one of the women's division members being Nikki Blackheart, or whatever she'll be known now. Obviously, her making her debut. Tony and Naraku, obviously not done with that action yet. Wins for Jada Parker as well as Kelanijordan. The Vanti Project all around there, and EK Prosper. So definitely a few things to really note here, and championship pictures escalating and moving forward pretty clearly. So it's quite nice to see. Probably give it an episode a rating of 7.5 out of 10. I liked the show, but I think there was, not quite the cleanest of action in the ring. It was okay, but it wasn't fantastic in that sort of respect. But it was good enough for sure. I still enjoyed it. But yeah, what did you guys think? Let us know in the comments. Did you like this episode of NXT? We'd love to hear all of your thoughts. And also let us know what you're thinking generally about wrestling right now, whether you're liking WWE's product. We're always interested in seeing what the opinions are of everybody watching, just seeing if you guys share the same opinion as what we do. I'd also consider hitting a like on our video, subscribing to our channel, and keeping up with future releases coming up very, very soon for the push. There's always content coming out. Wrestling is a very busy time as of late, and we're always getting stuff out week after week after week. But for now, everybody, this has been The Push with Nick and KP. We'll see you all next time. Take it easy, and goodbye for now.